What's going on, Rush Hour Sports Network? It is yours truly, Jay Smooth, your host here every single week. And of course, joining me over on the NFL show is, of course, B Money. What's going on, sir?
What's up?
Great to have you back. Doing well over here. Since the last time we talked, there's a lot that went down actually since the last time we talked. And let's see.
Yeah, before we get into it, I was just remembering that every time you introduce me, I say "What's up," and it makes me think of R-Truth from the WWE.
That is an interesting observation. Uh, that is something. But yeah, I believe the last time we talked, we had covered pretty much everything that had happened, but then so much went down in terms of quarterbacks and transactions and all of the positions. But let's go ahead and start off with the Browns. Now, even though the Browns at first seemed as if they were out of the running for Deshaun Watson, things got pretty interesting as Baker Mayfield requested a trade due to their search for a new quarterback, and then the Browns ended up signing Deshaun Watson in a surprise move for, I believe it was like 4 or 5 years, and they gave the man, they gave him a lot of money. It was like 230 million or something like that. But yes, the Browns actually traded for Deshaun Watson in a deal that included 3 first round picks. It was shocking considering that it appeared as if talks have stalled, but then out of nowhere, Deshaun's like, nah, I think Cleveland will be a good destination. I'll waive my no trade clause for that. So, what do you think about that, B Money? Because that's, I mean, quite an interesting development. I thought things had pretty much broken down there.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. And yes, the deals on the Watson contract, it's 5 years, 230 million, and every single penny is guaranteed, which is just crazy to me.
It sure is, man. They pretty much paid him after he'd sat out a whole year and after everything he had went through. He ended up getting his money, which is, I mean, hey, it tells you how bad some of these teams need a quarterback, but at the same time, like you said, that's just an insane amount of money.
Yeah, and just to me, the most surprising part is that it's all fully guaranteed. You know,
Yeah, all fully guaranteed. There's no like, it's funny. There's no like special clause or anything based off what he did. They're just gonna straight up pay the man. They're gonna take on the contract and pay the man.
yeah. But
It's wild right there.
other than that, it looks like the whole, along with Deshaun Watson, the Texans also gave the Browns a six-round pick in 2024. But on the other hand, the Texans receive first-round picks in 2022, 2023, and 2024, as well as they get a third-round pick in next year's draft. They get a fourth round pick in this year's draft,
Right.
as well as a fourth round pick in 2024.
Doesn't it say a lot that Baker Mayfield was not a part of this deal? It wasn't a straight quarterback swap. All they got in return was draft picks.
Yeah, that's another surprising point too.
Yeah.
I guess it begs the question: are the Texans buying into Davis Mills?
Which honestly, I mean, based off what we saw, I'm pretty sure you share the opinion I do. I would hate to start that guy as my quarterback of the future. I mean, he's got something for maybe a backup. He's all right if you get him in off the bench, but I don't think that's a guy you build a team around.
Yeah, I mean, the Texans are a team that I wouldn't be surprised if they still bring in another quarterback to at least compete with Davis Mills, especially since they already lost Tyrod Taylor. He's going to the Giants in New York. So
Absolutely, there are options like a Jimmy G that are out there. Unfortunately, there are other options that are not. We're gonna get to that a little later, but yeah, it seems as if it's a little interesting that the Texans didn't at least inquire about Baker Mayfield, and it's a little weird that Baker is still out there without a job because the
well,
Browns.
technically, he's still a Cleveland Brown for for the time being.
That's true. He is still a Cleveland Brown. Obviously, they want to get rid of him. There's no question about that. But it is a little weird that no one has inquired about him, and there's a chance that he may end up being on the bench for the Browns this year.
Yeah,
Well, but
or
then
for
again,
somebody. Oh,
but
well,
but then
I think a
again,
deal will get done. The question is where and will he get an opportunity to start? Because
the
I don't see any scenario where he remains a Cleveland Brown come September.
I agree. There is another interesting caveat to this. What is Watson's suspension going to be? We know he's going
Yeah,
to be suspended. We don't know how long it's going to be for. That's what we still have to figure out. You know what I mean? But I imagine the Browns probably said, you know what? He's probably going to be suspended, but they probably think it'll be for like, 4 or 5 games, even if it's like half the season, like an 8 game suspension or something. I think they're still willing to take the risk because, they signed him to a long term deal. So it's like, okay, the first year he gets suspended after a year, that's fine. He still has like 4 years left. So it's yeah, it's an interesting situation to see how that first year is going to go.
and actually, by you saying that, it also makes me think of a potential possibility that might happen that Baker Mayfield may not like, but it's possible. Let's assume for a second Deshaun Watson does get suspended for 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
They could keep Baker Mayfield, have him start those 8 games,
Right, that's
and then
true.
trade him at the trade deadline.
That is a very good point. And you know what? Considering the fact that Carolina and Seattle haven't shown, Seattle has claimed to have shown interest in Baker, but we all know how that goes with the Pete Carroll posturing and all that BS. Even though they've claimed it, uh, I have yet to see any real movement on it. So it does seem as if Baker may stay a Brown, and if that's the case, I think that's what's going to happen. I think Deshaun Watson is obviously going to be their starter with all that money they paid him. However, they're going to wait and see what the suspension deal is. And then they may just end up, like you say, getting rid of Baker Mayfield after Watson's suspension, however many games that might be. They'll have
Yeah,
Baker.
because maybe their
Yeah,
mindset might, because Baker would be their best bet as a backup who already knows the offense.
that's true. I
Maybe
think
he can get him a few wins to start the year.
that's true
So
because like their they're like third guy on the bench. I think is either Kevin Hogan or I think it's like Brian Hoyer or somebody like somebody you don't want in the game. That is for sure. Somebody you don't
yeah,
want in the game. So I'm all for it, man. I'm all for that right there. I think, like you said, it makes all the sense in the world to have Baker there.
I just don't think Baker Mayfield would want to do that.
Oh,
Baker
he
Mayfield
definitely.
has every right to potentially throw those games if he wanted to, but
He very well. You know what? He has a good reason to do that. Actually, he has a very good reason to do it. And honestly, I wouldn't blame him if he did. But yeah, man,
it'd be funny if he did.
it definitely would. I got to say, very interesting turn of events right there in Cleveland. But what else you
Yeah,
got
I guess
for us,
this
man?
also means we got to stop those progressive commercials where Baker Mayfield acts as if the Cleveland Brown Stadium is his home.
You know what? They gave that man some serious amount of airtime during those commercials when he didn't even do anything to earn it. It was the craziest thing ever.
He really got that TV deal real quick.
He did, man. He got the TV deal. It was like once he signed his rookie deal, like after
It was
draft day.
after his rookie season.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah, that's true. That's when he really started showing up on TV more. Like after that rookie year, next thing you know, he's in those progressive commercials every like literally all throughout the off season. You see the man on TV every week. It was insane.
Yeah.
What else you got for us though, bro? Because there's a lot of people
Anyway,
who got signed.
I guess now we're just going to start our rundown of other free agency news. The Jaguars signed Darius Williams, cornerback from the Rams. They signed him to 3 years, $30 million.
Mm.
Yeah.
So the Jaguars signed him 3 years.
Jaguars still spending a lot of money. Darius Williams is a quality cornerback. So, and $30 million isn't that bad of a deal. I think that's actually one of the few good free agency moves the Jaguars have done because that whole Christian Kirk thing, I still ain't feeling it.
Yeah, the Christian Kirk move is still a head scratcher for me. I don't. it's weird. So like I'm looking at everybody they've signed. Yeah, like Darius Williams is good, but yeah, just looking at the money that they gave to Christian Kirk and the Zay Jones one, uh, obviously makes no sense. But yeah, Christian Kirk, $72 million. That includes 37 million fully guaranteed and a max value of 84 million. It's like why? Why? What has he done to prove? It's almost as if they looked at the body of work of like a Bernard of a Hopkins or somebody like that, and they must have thought Kirk had some sort of hand in Kyler Murray's success. He had some, not a lot, like nothing significant. So I didn't quite get that.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
Christian
yeah,
Kirk is good. I think he's talented. He was.
yeah,
I remember when he was getting drafted, he was one of my favorite receivers in his class.
yeah,
But
he was a
he's not
contributor.
worthy of top 5 wide receiver money.
Exactly. Right. Right. Like he was a contributor, but top five money is over the top.
Yeah. Moving on to other moves, big trade happened last week, an exchange of pass rushers. So first of all, the Raiders, they end up signing Chandler Jones.
Ah,
And
that's right. They sure
with
enough
them
did.
bringing in Chandler Jones, they end up trading Yannick Ngakwe to the Colts for a cornerback, Rock Yassin.
Which is very interesting because uh now the Colts actually the Colts really needed that in a way. And you know what? You mentioned it to me earlier in the week. It's a little alarming that they were kind of, quiet a bit in the off season. Like, yeah, they got Yannick Ngakwe, they sent Rocky Sign out there, but you know, other than that move and a move we're gonna talk about with the Colts, when you get to it, Colts have not done a whole lot.
No, they haven't.
They have not.
And they came into this free agency with some of the most cap room. And they really
Yes,
only made 2 big moves, and both of them were trades. They weren't even big signings.
we
So,
and plus we expected them to be in the running for Russell Wilson, and of course be in the running for Aaron Rodgers if Aaron was going to leave. So, like you said, with all that room, it seemed as if they had a lot of room to work with. And of course, it is interesting that the Colts are going to go into yet another season with yet another starting quarterback.
yeah, and I mean, and the wild thing is, and we'll just go ahead and say it. So the Colts a few days ago traded for Matt Ryan from the Atlanta Falcons. They sent over to Atlanta a 3rd-round pick, so it wasn't even a whole lot to get for him. Um,
This is very
but
true.
as you mentioned, the 3rd straight year of a new starting quarterback for the Colts. But what I'm worried about, what we were talking about early a couple or whenever, is that they got the quarterback now, and Yannick Ngakwe will help that defensive front that already has DeForest Buckner, and they got Darius Leonard in the defense as well. But the biggest question I think for this Colts team, oh yeah, also their offensive line is one of the best in the league. But the biggest, and Jonathan Taylor, but like the biggest question mark for this Colts team is wide receiver. Michael Pittman is nice,
Right.
but T.Y. Hilton is not who he used to be,
That's true.
and they already lost Jack Doyle, their tight end, who retired. So who is Matt Ryan throwing the football to other than Pittman?
Yeah,
So
that's the thing, man. And you know what? They're gonna have to. I'm not sure where they pick in the draft, but I imagine they're gonna be in the market for a receiver with the first pick that they have. Because, like you said, they need some help with receivers. They need some weapons, man. They need somebody to throw it to. It's weird. I don't know if they're necessarily in the market for like an Odell Beckham Jr.
Well, I was about to say, I mean, the good news is there's still plenty of big name receivers still available in free agency.
Yeah, that is true. Actually, well, yeah, that is a good point. There are
You
some.
got your Odell Beckhams, you got your Julio Jones, who was released by the Titans.
Yeah,
You
that's
got
right.
your
Now,
Jarvis Landry, who was released from the Browns. You got Will Fuller. So
right.
there's some names out there that they could bring in. Marquez Valdez Scantling is still out there. So, like,
A Julio Jones makes a lot of sense to me. Odell, I don't think would necessarily fit into that locker room well. It even though really if he was like if they brought him in to be a number one receiver, I think he would be fine. But um, Yeah, it seems like Julio Jones would actually be a good fit. But I'm with you though. Like they still have some names out there. So I'm
Hey, and that would actually be cute, bringing Julio and Matt Ryan back together.
That is true. That would be that would be quite interesting. You would just take them out of Atlanta and put them right in the Colts. It's like right in Indy. I will say though, the fact that I'd say I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up drafting a receiver just to maybe develop a new rookie. Because like you said, Ty Hilton is not he's not what he used to be, and they needed to start developing at that position. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't I
and they
wouldn't be.
got Pittman, who I think they drafted last year or the year before, who's developing, and he's turned out
Yeah.
really well. But I agree that they definitely should be drafting, bringing someone else in to
Absolutely. So
develop.
they'll definitely be in the market for it. But yeah, what else is going on so far?
And then finishing that out, again the Raiders get Chandler Jones. You know,
Yes,
on the
that
other side of that trade, they get Chandler Jones and they get Rock Ya-Sin. So I think Chandler Jones is an upgraded pass rusher from Yannick Ngakoue. Yannick Ngakoue is great, but I think Chandler Jones is even better. And then Rock
I
Ya-Sin
agree.
is pretty solid as a corner, and that was a place where they needed some help. The Raiders on their defense.
Absolutely. They even signed Anthony Averett. They've even picked him up as a free agent as
That's
well.
true. Yeah, they did.
Picked him
Yeah,
up
going
and
back to the Raiders, yeah, they signed Anthony Averett from the Ravens, a pretty solid cornerback who, again, will probably work out for them as a
absolutely.
solid number two.
Oh, and we never did we talk about this in the last episode, the big splash that the Raiders made?
I don't believe we did.
So interesting, folks. Mr. Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount Double Check himself. Uh, that big old contract he took. Yeah, it turns out Devonte Adams said, "Yeah, I'm not taking that discount double check you're pushing. I'm gonna go get my money," and he decided to go to Las Vegas to get that money. They signed Devonte Adams in a trade. Well, it was really a trade,
It was a sign and trade, essentially,
sign and trade.
because
Absolutely.
they did give him a new contract, too.
They gave that man a brand new contract. He gave a contract that is worth 141.5. I mean, sorry, 141.25 million over the next 5 years, with an average of 28.25 million per year. In other words, folks, Devonte Adams said, "I wanted my money. I'm not going to take a franchise tag just because Rodgers got his bag. Hey, I want to get mine as well." And this was the problem that Green Bay was going to run into. Somebody was going to get paid. It was going to be Rodgers. It was going to be Adams, and the struggle was going to be keeping them both there. But as you can see, Rodgers pretty much did what he had to do to get as much money as he could out of the Packers. And unfortunately, that forced out a weapon out of Green Bay. And it now begs the question: what the hell is Green Bay going to do at receiver?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they brought back Alan Lazard already.
Yeah, they
Uh,
did. They're going to need a lot more than that.
but yeah, they're definitely going to need a lot more than that. Probably going to have to pick up some things through the draft. And luckily, with this trade with the Raiders, they got themselves another first round pick and a second round pick. So they got some draft capital to maybe make some moves.
Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see what both teams are going to do. The Raiders looking solid, by the way, and you and I talked about this earlier. Uh, and you know what? Let's since we are in the AFC West, you want to go talk about the big move of the day out in the AFC West?
Yeah, but first, I guess I wanted to finish talking about the Raiders for a second here,
Oh
talking about
yeah.
some of their moves.
All right. Cool. Cool.
So Devonte Adams. I think the other big thing I don't think we mentioned in the last show, but on the defensive side, along with Chandler Jones, they signed Max Crosby to an extension for 4 years, almost 100 million.
Yeah,
So
98.98 million, which is a very specific number.
I believe that's his number, 98,
It is actually funny
which is
enough.
which is
Nine.
probably why they did it.
It makes sense.
But yeah, so the Raiders are looking dangerous going into the year. New coach, still same Derek Carr. They paired Devonte Adams with Hunter Renfro, with Darren Waller. You got Josh Jacobs in the backfield, who's solid. So could be a dangerous team. And then you look on the defense, as mentioned. They bring in Chandler Jones, Max Crosby's on an extension. They sign Averett, Rock Ya-Sin. So they got some pieces now to be even more competitive than they were last year. And last year they were competitive. They just didn't have a coach.
Absolutely
Honestly.
right. And this time around, they not only have a coach, they have a coach that's been itching to be in the spot for a long time. And
For
now,
sure.
and you know what? McDaniel now has everything. He has the quarterback. He has the team. He is in the wild, wild west in terms of divisions in football. So, in terms of one of the craziest divisions in football. So, hey, this is the Raiders' time to shine right now, man. And that whole division is looking pretty stacked. The Chargers obviously have made a lot of crazy moves. The Broncos have now finally found their quarterback and are looking to build up that team over there, build up that defense especially. And
And
now
all of that is making the last team a little bit scared, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs.
it is, man.
And
And
you said you wanted to talk about the move of the day, and the move of the day was this. The Chiefs trade Tyreek Hill
oh,
to the Miami Dolphins
oh man,
for in return the Chiefs get first round, second round, and fourth round picks in this year's draft. And they get a fourth and a sixth in next year's draft. Meanwhile, Hill signs an extension with the Dolphins worth $120 million over 4 years, 72.2 guaranteed.
sheesh, folks, it's insanity. And you know what? This news came down pretty quickly too, because literally within the hours of Tyreek Hill's of the news of Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs not able to agree on an extension come out. Next thing you know, the Jets and the Dolphins are in the running, and the Dolphins, who have been very busy this offseason, uh, end up making the mother of all moves. This is a game changing move for them, because what this does, you put in the hands of McDaniel, you put in his hands Tua, you give him now Tyreek Hill, you give
They
him
already got Jalen Waddle.
right Jalen
They already
Waddle,
got Mike Gesicki, who's real nice at tight end.
absolutely one of the
Devontae Parker's kind of nice too.
that's true.
Some other free agent moves. They brought in Chase Edmonds from Arizona, who's a decent running back, but it was a weakness for them. They signed Raheem Mostert, who he was injured this year for the Niners.
Yes.
But prior to that injury, the last couple of years, he's been like helping carry that Niners offense.
Absolutely. So now, oof. I mean, hey, you know what? Not looking bad right now. Then you bring in Teddy Bridgewater to back up Tua in case things get really ugly.
Oh yeah, and the other big move, I think this happened yesterday. They signed a blindside, Terran Armstead, left tackle, to a 5-year, $75 million deal. I believe they did that yesterday.
Yes, that's correct.
So
man,
they're building around him.
They are, man, and you know what? This is gonna be a very important year for Tua. Now that he has a new coach, now that he has really the mother of all weapons in Tyreek Hill. Now.
And a lot of people say Jalen Waddle coming into the draft last year was Tyreek Hill 2.0, so he's got two.
That is true. Waddle is certainly not one to be overlooked, man. It's all of a sudden things get very interesting in the AFC out in the AFC East. It gets interesting now. And
yeah,
speaking
I think as you're getting at Sam, like the question is now we're gonna get to know, was Tua worth it? The whole thing this offseason started with Miami was them firing Brian Flores because he didn't believe in Tua. So now we're going to get to see who was right. Now that they've chosen Tua and they're building around him.
Absolutely, man. And now that ripple effect, now that we get to see how things are going to be shaping up in Miami, we also have to see how things are going to be shaping up in Kansas City, because a move like this, I mean, and you and I talked about it earlier. While Travis Kelce is obviously, he was pretty much the main weapon for Mahomes in terms of main game changing weapons for Mahomes. Tyreek Hill was the man. Now, Tyreek Hill had the injury problem, so Kelsey went ahead and took over when he needed to, and things were okay for them, during the playoff run. But now you lose him, you lose Hill, you get Juju Smith-Schuster, who, I mean, let's be honest, if you had a choice between Hill and Schuster, I think we're pretty much going Hill on that one, no question. But
Oh,
still,
for sure.
yeah, but now that you bring him in, and we saw signs of not the Chiefs necessarily like looking bad because they still had a good season, but we saw signs of them struggling, and we saw signs of Mahomes having bad games. And now you take away one of his big weapons. One of his big weapons is left town. It's gonna be very interesting to see what the Chiefs are gonna do to cover this up. Now, Schuster is not a bad replacement, but it's hard to replace one of the best weapons in the league. And I would like to know
Well,
your thoughts on this, really.
yeah, and even still, I mean, Juju is not even a long-term replacement. They only signed him to a one-year deal. So I think it was always in place that he was just going to be a stopgap for time. I mean, for me, for the Chiefs, I mean, I'm high on Mecole Hardman, who they've had kind of paired with Tyreek the past couple of years. I think he's developed really, really well.
Right.
But I think the other reality here for the Chiefs is that this was going to happen eventually.
It's true.
Once Pat Mahomes signed that big money deal a couple years ago, it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when Tyreek or Travis Kelce was going to be gone. That they were going to have to choose. They weren't going to be able to keep both. And I believe they gave Kelce his extension last year. So the writing was on the wall that Tyreek Hill was gone. It was just a matter of when. And if they'd let him go for free or if they try to trade and get some draft capital for him. So it's a good thing, I think, if you're a Chiefs fan, they were able to get a trade done. Because an extension, I don't think, was ever going to happen, no matter what. Because you can't pay all of them and then still be able to have a competitive team, I think, at that point. So the Chiefs, I feel like, the Chiefs are entering a period now that because of the big deals with Mahomes and you got some other players that you're trying to pay now, that
right.
We're reaching a point for the Chiefs where the only way they're going to be competitive is if they draft well. And, at least now I think now after this trade they have 9 picks in this draft. And,
yes.
5 of them are in the first 3 or 4 rounds. So, they got some opportunities to draft some impact players. It's just a matter of who. And them doing some good scouting.
Absolutely, man. They're certainly going to have a lot of work to do, I imagine. That in the it's funny because this is one of the fastest, in terms of receivers, one of the quickest draft classes in years. So I won't be surprised if the Chiefs are gonna look for just a weapon, like a little gem they could snatch at the end of the first round. Or
I wouldn't be surprised if they draft more than one receiver in this one.
You know what? That could very well happen, actually, because
I believe another one that broke out for them last year, Byron Pringle, he actually, I think, signed with another team this offseason.
Yes, he did, actually. I don't know which one, but yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? They're going to have to go for the guys that are day one ready because, with all the speed in the draft, what's going to help the Chiefs and obviously any team is, any fast receiver they can snatch up. So, like you said, there's a good chance they go with 1 or 2 receivers. Maybe they get a fast running back receiver hybrid and then a straight receiver, something like that. But yeah. I could see them going for that. But what else we got left?
Yeah, let's keep moving. Got to bring up a couple players, because they pulled the Randy Gregory. First, J.D. McKissick. I believe last time on the show he reported that he had signed a deal with the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, that's right.
But the following day after we recorded that episode, he said, "Psych, I'm not going to Buffalo," and ends up turning around and signing a 2-year deal with the Washington Commanders to stay in D.C.
By the way, just hearing the name Commanders out loud is so weird.
It
it's,
is.
it
It
is
is.
so strange, man. And I tell you what, if they would have called the team the Wolves or something, it would have been weird too. But at least we can get used to that one quickly. But yeah, man. This was surprising. This was surprising right here. And you know what? This is not the first time we've seen a player pull this move this offseason. We're going to talk about another one. Actually, another one local here, that is, who did
Yeah.
something
You
similar.
see what I'm talking about next. But yeah, Randy Gregory did it to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
He signed a deal with them, said nah, and ended up going to Denver. J.D. McKissick does it, goes to Washington.
Yeah, which is disappointing for the Bills because he would have been phenomenal with the Bills, but now he's gonna have to split the carries with Antonio Gibson, which honestly I felt like it was Gibson's team in DC, which is why I was surprised that McKissick ended up coming back. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, you would have been the man in Buffalo, but hey. I guess that deal. It's funny. It's just this. I guess he was waiting for the Commanders to match, and then when they finally did, he's like, "All right, I'll stay home."
Yeah, and I remember like it sucked because like in that last episode, I remember talking about it and saying that it was like my favorite signing that the Bills had because I thought that he was gonna like he brings a whole different dynamic to their offense that they haven't had at all.
Yes. Oh man.
Nah.
Yeah. Now the Bills are probably. You know what? They're gonna be in the. I could see them being running back hunters in the draft.
Yeah, they very well could. I mean, after that deal happened, they haven't signed, or after that deal happened, they did sign another running back to try to make up for it. They signed Duke Johnson. But not as fast or as quick as J.D. McKissick, but kind of the same skill set.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. Then the other player to renege on a deal, you had Zadarius Smith. I believe the same day as J.D. McKissick decides he goes back to D.C., Zadarius Smith reportedly had signed a deal with the Baltimore Ravens to go back to the team that drafted him.
Right.
However, he also backed out of it at the last moment, and as of a couple of days ago, ended up instead signing a 3-year deal worth $42 million with the Minnesota Vikings.
A pleasant surprise, in my eyes. I gotta say, with the Ravens, it would have been the perfect reunion, considering how bad the team needed him. But
thought it would have been a perfect fit too, honestly.
Oh, 100%, 110% would have been the perfect fit. But I don't hate this either, because the Vikings need a pass rusher. Yannick Ngakoue, not that guy. Everson Griffin, out of town. Man's been too busy in and out of the psych ward. We couldn't deal with it anymore. We had maybe a couple others as well, but they didn't really pan out. Now you bring in a guy like Zadarius Smith, who is well worth every dollar that you pay him. He can get to the quarterback. He is exactly what the Vikings need. They needed that pass rusher. They were lacking it for, I would say, all of 2 years. When Yanni came to the Vikings, I was like, I thought, maybe something could happen, but it just never materialized. So now you bring in somebody like Smith, who actually had some pretty good years in Green Bay, even though he was hurt last season. He still put up very good numbers in Green Bay. Obviously put up amazing numbers in Baltimore. Now you bring him to Minnesota, where he's going to get the money that he desired, and he's going to be on a defense that is going to be rebuilt yet again. So I like it. The Vikings certainly needed a pass rusher, and they now got it. Unfortunately, they're stuck with a bum at quarterback, but at least they have a nice pass rusher on defense.
Yeah, I believe, didn't they end up giving Kirk Cousins an extension?
Oh, they did. They did. And you know what? You know what this is? This is a case of a coach saying, you know what? I could fix him. Coach is about to realize he's not that guy. he is not that guy. They signed Kirk to a 1-year, $35 million fully guaranteed. Jesus Christ, why would you do that? Why would you give the man $35 million to play like trash. Like just he'll play like garbage throughout the game, and then in garbage time he'll turn into an MVP and a Pro Bowl level quarterback. But yeah, man, it's another case of a coach thinking he can fix them, even though he can't. I think what's going to happen here is the old ball coach who is still polishing his Super Bowl ring from L.A. He's going to get to Minnesota. He's going to think he can fix this guy. About 7 games in, he's going to be like, "Oh, I can't do anything with him. Fuck him." And then they're going to get rid of Kirk finally. I think after this, I think this will be Kirk's last season in Minnesota. Actually, they're going to give him his money and then he'll go away.
Man.
And by the way, you want to talk about quarter? Oh, actually, no. Go ahead. I'll let you go ahead.
I was gonna move on to another deal.
Yeah, figured you would.
So, getting back though to Zadarius Smith for your Ravens fans out there wanting to know the difference. So the deal he signs, I believe, with Minnesota, the max value was $47 million over 3 years.
Yes.
The deal that he would have signed with the Ravens would have been for 4 years and $35 million. So for one less year, he gets $12 million more with Minnesota than he would have gotten with Baltimore. And according to sources, they had a verbal agreement with Baltimore. He was going to go over there. But ultimately, what made him decide to back out at the last second and to try to ask for more money, which, oh, by the way, the Ravens tried to make another deal for him, but it didn't work out. But what made him back out was the one that I'm about to talk about right now. We're going back to Buffalo. After the day after they lose J.D. McKissick, they signed Von Miller, 33-year-old Von Miller.
Yes.
To a 6-year, $120 million contract, though only $51 million is guaranteed, but still. How does Von Miller get this money at 33, bro?
You know what it is? It's that Super Bowl ring. My guy went to L.A. and he coasted all the way to the Super Bowl in L.A. And now he is going to get an ungodly amount of money for a Super Bowl ring that, quite frankly, he got mid-season. I mean, let's be honest. He got it mid-season.
Yeah, that's right.
My dude jumped from... And by the way, I wonder how he feels about jumping from Denver now that Russell's over there. But anyways, very interesting. He jumps from Denver to LA, gets that ring. The super team is now breaking up, and he goes to Buffalo and gets paid. Which, hey, amazing for Miller, but at the same time, the Bills just grabbed themselves a good one over there, man. That defense just went from good to great.
That defense, despite their ugly performance in the playoffs last year against the Chiefs, was the number 1 defense in the league last year. And they add Von Miller. Oh my God.
Hey, Bills fans, you all can't be crying about overtime rules now. You got Von Miller there. You know what I mean? If you can't play defense in overtime, if the Bills season goes down the toilet in overtime again due to defense, then Bills, don't cry about rule changes. It's your own fault now. You got Von Miller, so you have no more excuses.
Well, and I think the biggest value, too, you think about it, because Von Miller's been to the mountaintop now twice.
Right.
He's won Super Bowls with the Rams now, and he's won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. And in both runs, he's not only shown that he can be a good pass rusher and a great player even at 33, but he's shown an ability to be clutch as well. He's made some game-saving plays. Of course, obviously, he was the MVP of that Broncos run. But even for the Rams run, he made some timely plays in both throughout the playoffs for the Rams, and even in the Super Bowl, I think he got a sack or two off of Burrow. So he's clutch.
He is, man. He's clutch, and he's worth every penny. And quite frankly, the Bills. It's funny now that the Bills have a new coach. Well, not a new coach, but now that the Bills kind of they kind of patched up a few holes on offense, and now they're trying to build up defense a little bit more. It's going to be interesting to see how they compete again this year, because they're still gonna, like, what happened to them last season is gonna hurt. It's still gonna hurt, but I want to see how they bounce back from it.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely. What are some other big moves that went down while we were gone?
Moving on to another big move. Granted, didn't move anywhere. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-signed Chris Godwin. They give him a 3-year deal worth $60 million. If not, he would have played his second and final year of the franchise tag. They avoid it, and they keep him. And basically, the MO in Tampa Bay is they're trying to run it back again.
Oh, they are. Oh, they definitely are. Tom Brady has pretty much said, screw retirement. I can't be around my wife and kids anymore. And it only took him like 2 weeks to figure that out. So he'll be back again. Fournette will be there. Let's see. Shaq Mason will be there. Russell Gage, Chris Godwin. Look at Rashad Perryman getting a 1-year deal. Who the hell knew he would still be in the league after what we saw in Baltimore? Golly. Speaking of Baltimore, Ryan Jensen resigned with a 3-year deal there. They get Aaron Stinney, Carlton Davis, Logan Ryan. So, that, like you said, in Tampa Bay, they are loading up, man. They're not messing around. And actually, do you want to stay? Can we stay in the NFC South for a second? Because there was a move that took place in Atlanta that pretty much signals what you and I have been waiting for a long time.
Go ahead.
So, that rebuild that Atlanta fans have been waiting for, well, guess what? Congratulations, it's finally here. Because after the Falcons missed out on Deshaun Watson, and after he chose Cleveland over Atlanta, Atlanta responds by signing Marcus Mariota to a 2-year deal that'll pretty much earn him $6 million. Now, he's going to be reunited with the coach that he had in Tennessee, which I don't know if that's a good thing, because in Tennessee he was trash. So, you know what I mean? We'll just wait and see on that. But this signals the rebuild is finally happening in Atlanta. And granted, it came way too late. They waited way after the 28-3 choke job in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, but nonetheless, it's finally here. How long do you think it'll take? Just estimation, in your opinion.
At this point, it depends on what they're able to build around, because they don't really have much of a nucleus of any type of squad. I mean, the only person really on the team right now of note is Kyle Pitts at tight end.
Which
on defense, they don't really have any big pieces anymore. So,
yeah.
Other than I think like Grady Jarrett, I think is still around. But yeah, they have a lot they need to do. A lot of work ahead of them.
I agree, man. I agree. Certainly a lot of work to do. What else in the league is going on that we have yet to discuss?
Let's go out to LA, shall we? We're going to talk about the Rams, your defending champions. Granted, they lose Odell Beckham. He's a free agent. And I believe Robert Woods ends up signing somewhere else. We might talk about that a little bit later.
Yes.
But to replace all of that, to pair with Cooper Kupp, they signed Allen Robinson to a 3-year, $46.5 million deal.
They rescued that man from purgatory. They finally... Oh man, he was
Allen Robinson has been in purgatory his entire career. Hasn't played with a good quarterback.
Yeah, he's always
since day one.
It's true. He's an example of an amazing player that's on a terrible team. He was just stuck in purgatory for a long time, but now he's on a respectable team and he has a legit chance to win. So I am very interested to see how Allen Robinson's going to do in LA. I think that's a good signing right there.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good signing over there because he's a legit receiver, and you pair him with Cooper Kupp, like the Rams. Really, the biggest questions is like what they're able to do. I feel like their defense is where I have the most questions because they lose Von Miller, they lose Darius Williams that we talked about earlier in this show. So are they going to be able to? Is their defense going to be able to keep up? But we'll see.
Absolutely, we definitely will see, man. It's gonna be worth monitoring for sure. Let's see what else is happening in the West, or is there another division that's got some action?
I'm going through right now.
Let me go back up. Oh shit! Oh yeah, that is right. Tyrod did sign that 2-year deal. Let's see. West. No, nothing over there. I think we pretty much hit everything.
Yeah, we hit all the main stuff. By the way, Robert Woods, he ends up being traded to the Tennessee Titans.
So he ends up with the Titans. Okay. And by the way,
Oh, I got another one. I got another big one.
Okay, cool. What's up?
The Cincinnati Bengals continue building an offensive line in front of Joe Burrow. They signed Lyle Collins to a 3-year deal.
Nice. Yep. So they are finally giving him the protection he sorely needs.
They've already been making a few moves already, but I'd be scared about this Bengals team if I were y'all. They were already your Super Bowl. I mean, we talked about it during their Super Bowl run,
right?
Of just how they were at the top of the AFC like a year or two, maybe before we expected them to be there, and here they are coming. And we thought their only biggest weakness was their offensive line, as was shown, and probably like their defensive backs, which they haven't really fixed the defensive backs part, but offensive line, I think we talked about in the last show, not only do they sign Lyle Collins now, but they signed Alex Kappa, they signed Ted Karras. Like, they make 3 huge moves to bolster the offensive line this offseason. They're like all in right now. So
they are, man, and it's good. It's good that they're building around Burrow because it's now or never for them. They made it as far as they did last season. They made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and now they got to get all the way back, and they got to win it. So, yeah, they have to invest in that protection, and they're already doing it. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing that they're continuing. As of right now, the best available NFL free agents that are still out there. The Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, a safety who's number 30. He's still out there. Odell Beckham Jr. at wide receiver, he is still out there. Stephon Gilmore, a corner, is available. Let's see, Dwayne Brown, offensive tackle from, I believe it was from Seattle, is available. Bobby Wagner, a linebacker, is out there. Jadeveon Clowney, edge rusher, pass rusher, is available. Calais Campbell, defensive lineman, is available. Melvin Ingram is out there. Rob Gronkowski is out there, even though it's unclear if he's even going to play again. But he's technically out there. Jarvis Landry is out there. A wide receiver, edge rusher, Jerry Hughes is out there. Akeem Nicks, defensive lineman. Trey Flowers, a defensive end. J.C. Trotter, a center. Will Fuller, a wideout. Let's see, Eric Fisher, offensive tackle. Julio Jones at receiver is still available. Bryce Callahan, a nice decent corner, is still available. Sean Elliott at safety is available. Anthony Barr at linebacker. Marquez Valdez-Scantling at wide receivers out there. Justin Houston, edge rusher, is available, as well as Melvin Gordon at running back. Let's see who else. Derek Barnett, Kaiser White, Aiden Key, Sheldon Richardson's out there. Ndamukong Suh is out there, and he's only 35 years old. Thought he was a little older than that. Let's see, Patrick Peterson, Kevin King, Larry Adebayomi, let's see, Dante Hightower, PJ Williams. So there's still a good amount of people out there. Even Andy Dalton, surprisingly, is out there, as well as Joe Hayden, surprisingly. So there's still a good amount of names out there left to be signed. Is there anyone else we missed, or have we pretty much hit on everyone?
I mean, that's pretty much everyone. I got one more signing that I want to say, and then you can do your draft preview if you like. Give us a player or two.
Yeah, I can give you one player today, definitely. But yeah, what is the final signing you got?
The last signing I'm going to bring up is that the New Orleans Saints re-signed Jameis Winston to a 2-year deal worth $28 million.
And that was after there was speculation that Jameis was maybe not going to be there, but what this tells me, the fact they gave him a 2-year deal, is that they are having buyer's remorse on Taysom Hill. Shouldn't have signed him to that contract in the first place. Makes you wonder where he's going to be. Probably USFL or XFL if I had to guess, because he's about Tim Tebow level, if you know what I mean. I don't see that guy being. I don't see him being a starting quarterback in the league. Do you?
No.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. He could be like a starting tight end or something like that, maybe a blocker, but no, not quarterback. Not QB. That is absolutely for sure. Now, folks, to close out the night, let me see. Now, to close out the night, let us go to the recent. Let's go to okay, so looking at the mock draft right now, let me go through. I'm not going to go through all these names, obviously, but there is a name I'm going to go through tonight who is a quarterback that we can all expect to probably jump off the board, probably as the first quarterback taken. And that is Kenny Pickett. He is a quarterback from the University of Pittsburgh. And, oh shit. So, hold on. Now, what's interesting about Kenny Pickett is right now he is projected to be number 18 sliding to the Saints. What's noteworthy about Kenny Pickett is he has the smallest arms in the draft, the smallest hands in the draft right now. And I would say the other thing that's noteworthy about him is that he plays with two gloves. He's one of those two gloved he's one of those quarterbacks that wears a glove on each hand. I would say it's probably the only noteworthy thing, as you can see in this photo here that I have up on the screen. And also he's noteworthy for doing what's known as a fake slide when he runs, and actually college football banned it because they were fucking annoyed by him doing it. Some mock drafts have him going as early as 18, some have him going as early as number 6 to the Panthers. I personally believe that he's going to be the first one off the board. Now, Malik Willis is a worthwhile candidate as well. But just looking at Kenny Pickett's numbers, let's see, he completed 334 passes out of 497 attempts. That is 67%. He threw for over 4,000 yards, 4,319, 42 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions with a 165 rating. Now, 42 touchdowns, 7 picks, not bad for a guy that played at Pittsburgh. And when you play at Pittsburgh, you're playing a lot of high caliber competition. He's 23 years old, technically a senior. He's 6'3", 217. He's not a short quarterback or anything like that. He's a guy that can step up in the pocket and throw. He's a guy that will run out of there if need be. I will say this. Teams that need a quarterback are going to take a swing at him. Teams like Pittsburgh, Carolina will take a swing. Seattle could trade up and try to get at him. If the Texans don't go after Baker or don't go after Jimmy G, and they want competition for Davis Mills, there's a good chance he might end up in Houston. But it all depends, really. It all depends on the team. It all depends on how desperate they feel. There's a very good chance Kenny Pickett will be a top 10 selection. Likely the first quarterback taken. The only other quarterback that could possibly be taken as a quarterback I'm going to talk about next week in Malik Willis. He is Lamar Jackson 2.0. I'm going to get more into him next week. But Kenny Pickett is certainly the popular quarterback name that's going to be selected first. He has the presence in the pocket, he has the ability to run, and he also has the ability to not screw it up in a big moment. And he certainly was the guy that turned around the Pittsburgh program when he got there, because Pittsburgh's football program was in irrelevancy for a little bit. They haven't really been noteworthy since the Darrelle Revis years. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a long time. So Kenny Pickett kind of brought him back to prominence a bit. So everybody expect Kenny Pickett to be the first quarterback taken off the draft board. He's going to be the first one taken off my board. When I do my official mock draft right before the NFL draft, when I reveal my first round, I have him in the top 10. Even though Carolina is like the popular pick, I could see Carolina. The only other team I see based off of all the transactions we've seen, I could very well see him falling to number 9 in Seattle because Seattle also needs quarterback as well. I don't see him slipping past number 9 though because none of these other teams really need him. And I mean, if a team that needs a quarterback, they better snatch him now. Kenny Pickett easily could be snatched up at number 6 and number 9. And folks, that is my rush hour prospect of the week. So expect, yes sir, expect Kenny Pickett to be the first quarterback off of the board. I will say this, based off his intangibles and based off his arm, I would rather have him starting for my team than Sam Darnold. And I'm pretty sure, both the Panthers and the Seahawks would rather have Kenny Pickett starting for them than Baker Mayfield. I mean, these days, who does want Baker Mayfield? You know.
Well, I mean, I do think there's a good chance though that, like, say if Baker Mayfield did end up in Carolina or Seattle, that I get the feeling that especially with this draft class, that they will probably sit a year.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
No question. They're definitely going to sit a year. I would, you know what? Seattle and Carolina, the two most quarterback hungry teams in the draft. I won't be shocked if, like, Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis are going to be the first two quarterbacks off the draft board. No question about it. I won't be surprised if whoever ends up going to Seattle has to sit out a year. Like, just let Drew Lock take the hits for the first year, and then the rookie come in the very next year to clean things up.
Yeah.
And Carolina, kind of the same thing. Throw Sam Darnold out there and let the rookie develop on the bench. The only problem is Matt Rule is more of a defensive guy, so I don't know if you want to develop under the watchful eyes of a defensive guy, but you never know. I mean, Carolina's been able to make it work somewhat in the past, but
Hey, I mean, technically in Buffalo, Sean McDermott is a defensive guy.
this is true. This is very true. It's funny because Matt Rule, he's always had good quarterbacks when he was coaching in college, but it will be rather interesting to see him develop his own quarterback while developing a defense. That's something I've never seen before. I've seen him recruit like a 5-star quarterback and have a gem of a quarterback fall into his lap in college. But yeah, I would definitely love to see how his developmental skills are going to be with a new quarterback. But yes, folks, Kenny Pickett, be on the lookout for him. The knock you're going to hear about him is that because of his small hands, he wears gloves on each hand. What do you think about a quarterback that wears gloves on each hand? That's not something you see all the time.
I mean, it doesn't matter if they can throw the football.
Well, that's going to be the question. The NFL ball is a little bigger than the college ball. And the college ball, he could really only grip when he had gloves on. So, hey, let's hope it doesn't become a problem in the pros. I don't imagine it will be because of the skill set. It's going to outshine everything else. But it is going to be interesting to see him on Sunday wearing two gloves like he's playing on Saturday. But hey, if he can get the passes off, it won't mean too much. But folks, that's pretty much it in terms of this week's draft prospect watch. Next week, I'm going to talk about Malik Willis, who is the second best quarterback in the draft. If Pickett is picked first, he's going to be picked second. If Pickett somehow is not the first quarterback chosen, he'll be the second. And if there's a quarterback chosen before Pickett, it's probably going to be Willis, and I'll tell you why next week. Is there anything you would like to add before we jump out of here for the night?
I think also since the last time we had a show, we can officially say that baseball is back.
Yeah, that is true, man. Baseball is back, and surprisingly, they're running all 162. I thought it was going to be like some games getting chopped off, but apparently not.
They got the CBA done just in time.
Yeah, thank goodness. Thank goodness for that. We now have a normal summer again. Thank goodness. But yes, we finally have baseball back. And by the way, NCAA is going well. The NBA, I believe the NBA playoffs are coming up too, aren't they? Like end of the
Yeah,
season?
end of April,
Yeah,
early May.
yeah, end of April, early May. New York just lifted their vaccine mandates, which means they're gonna let Kyrie play at home games now. So which is hilarious to me because if James Harden would have waited just a little longer,
Yeah, I
uh,
think he was just tired of them boys.
yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I actually don't blame him for doing that. I really don't blame him for doing it. But hey, man, things are heating up this summer, folks. Baseball's back. Basketball, NBA's basketball, well, playoff basketball is about to heat up. And of course, March Madness is going down. What about St. Peter's just kicking everybody in the face? Who knew St. Peter's had basketball?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Man,
been surprising.
when they beat Kentucky, I was in shock. I'm like just watching Calipari walk off the feet, like walk off the court, like what the hell? I'm not used to this. Oh man, it's almost as if Calipari's golden years of sending Kentucky players straight to the NBA are fading a little bit. He had a good run though. He had a good run. But anyways, folks, we will see you all next week. For B Money, it is your boy Jay Smooth. We will keep you guys updated on any moves that are made. The draft is coming up pretty soon. A lot of the teams are having their pro days. I'm going to be talking about Malik Willis next episode. I'm also going to talk about, as you guys see on the screen that just popped up there, Matt Corral. He's the other quarterback. I'll be talking about him the week after. But yeah, as the draft approaches, I'll be breaking down more prospects. We'll have more news for you guys as well. And then, of course, we will update you on anything crazy around the league that goes down. Because this has been a wild NFL offseason already. And there's still so much left. There's still some free agents out there left to be signed. And there's still a whole lot of things left. There's still a whole lot of moves left to be made. So we're going to keep you guys updated on it. And until then, everybody, B Money and I are out.